Hey everyone, in this video we'll be installing our .NET Maui project on our fresh Windows system, and then we'll be using our favorite editor, that is Visual Studio Code editor, as well as our Visual Studio 2019 IDE in order to install as well as open our .NET Maui project. And we'll be fixing some of the bugs that usually people encounter whenever they are installing their .NET Maui project. So let's get back to the video itself in order to learn. Before installing any instance of the Visual Studio, that is code or the Visual Studio IDE, here I will be enabling the developer mode on. I'm in Windows 10 as of now, and this step is not that much mandatory. This is just to enable the developer mode on for Windows application development that is being used previously whenever I was using the Visual Studio IDE for Windows development. So now we are going to install Visual Studio IDE as at first by going to Visual Studio IDE, and it might be 2019 or Visual Studio 2022. If you have different type of UI, don't get confused regarding that. We have three versions, that is community, professional, as well as enterprise. Here we'll be selecting the community one because we are a small developer who is developing our mobile application using Visual Studio. So we'll be selecting Visual Studio Community Edition. So wait for some time till the loader loads, and then you will be presented with this UI screen, and you have to click on continue, and then the download is going to be started. It is getting things ready. So here we'll be selecting three type of project, that is ASP.NET web development and Windows development and the Xamarin Forms app development, because we are doing some mobile application which will be required some Blazor stuffs as well as the UWP app development. So now we'll wait for some time. Then you have to save my video YouTube portal in your notepad or somewhere else so that you can refer later, and then click on restart so that your system will restart and you will again come back to the video back again. All right, so now we have restarted our system. We are now going to the .NET Maui repo. This is the GitHub link. So inside the wiki section, we have something called as getting started guide. This wiki is telling to install this line of code, but I think this is also going to be changed on later version of Visual Studio, that is Reddit is going to be removed later. And let's go to the command prompt as of now and run as administrator. So here at first, if you have some templates that was already been installed to the Visual Studio, so this is the bonus step to remove all the templates being used inside the system that you have. So we are going to remove, that is uninstall the Microsoft.Maui template at first before installing the fresh instance of .NET tool. So here you need to copy this line of code as of now, but it might be changed later, so I'm just going to paste it. So you have to check my video description below for the latest version of the videos that is going to come again. So don't forget to watch that new videos that I'll just present regarding the installation of Maui on the fresh systems. So at first we are going to do a Maui check, and we know that we have already installed all the templates that were being used inside the Windows system. So we have to hit S, Y, and then hit enter. As soon as it attempts to fix, then we have to hit Y and then click on enter till it gives us successful output. So we have to wait for some time because it's going to take lots of time to install all the components for our system to be ready for Maui. So again, do a Maui check in order to confirm that everything is fine. So it will synchronize and install all the Android SDKs, and if you have some problem, then continue with the video and then we'll just resolve it later, so that you are not left with any of the bugs, and then follow along with this video. Now we are going to create a new .NET Maui project. So in order to do that, we are going to first of all create a current directory as a desktop, because we want that folder to be in. So drag and drop any file that you like, and you can see mp2.tscs project, it can be anything on your end. So we just need a desktop location to be there, and then you can see I am on the desktop current directory, and then that is instantiated by the CD. So now we are going to create a new project on the desktop. So I'm just going to paste it over here, you can see now we have successfully created project with some build fields, that is for some of the templates, and we don't need to worry about that thing as of now. Now we are going to open that whole project in VS Code. So in order to do that, at first we are going to install Visual Studio Code, and if the Visual Studio Code does not work, then we are going to use preview version of Visual Studio 2019 in this video itself. So you don't need to skip that. We are first of all going to try with Visual Studio Code. If everything works fine, that's all and good. If that does not work, then we are going to install the preview version of Visual Studio 2019 IDE. Here we are going to open the file and then accept the agreement, then click on next because it will select the default location, and then click on next, and we are going to select everything as of now because we want the code action to be there on all the parts. So I'm going to tick every checkbox over here and then click on next, click on install. Then it will take some time to install the whole app. Then we can just launch our Visual Studio Code, no issues. So there are two ways to open up the whole project. Either go from the files, open folder, and then hello Maui project. So here you can see, or use the code command from the terminal in order to open that whole project. So you can see over here we have a documentation telling that we can use code command too. So in order to implement this thing, then we have to synchronize our code with the environment variable. So in order to do that, at first, see, this is not going to open up as of now because that is not synchronized. At first, we have to get the file location of the Visual Studio Code. Now I'm going to right click on it, open file location. Then at top, we'll see the whole Visual Studio Code file location. We are going to copy it. Then we have to edit the system environment variable, and then inside environment variable we have to create a new variable name and then paste the Visual Studio Code file path. Then we are going to enter code, click on OK, click on OK. That's all. Now we have already set up our code operation. Now we are again going to open the command prompt and then just type code, hit enter. Then the Visual Studio Code should come up. Now we are going to close it, and then we are going to the desktop as of now and then instantiating this line of code. So let's go to the desktop mode, and what I have told previously, dragging and dropping is going to give the whole desktop location path. Paste the same code over here to open your project in Visual Studio Code. Now we are going to do some optional steps for our .NET Maui. Recently I am in preview version of Maui 4, and if you are on later version of Maui, then these steps are not needed. That is, creating a NuGet.config file is not needed because they are going to be automatically added on later version of Maui. So here on .NET Maui 4 version, we are going to add this line of code in order to generate this NuGet.config file. Then we need to restore the .NET project in order to make our whole project working. So we need to add .NET space restore to restore all the NuGet package as well as the missing assembly dependencies. Then we are all set to go. Now our next work is to open up our Visual Studio 2019 that we installed recently. Let it load. So this is my first time, that's why I'm seeing this UI. If you are not seeing this UI, and if you start the Visual Studio, then you will be navigated to this page. Then you have to click on continue without code because I am in Visual Studio 2019, and if it is Visual Studio 2022 and you are in, then you will be implementing the same step. So in our Android device manager, we are going to create a new device. Click on new. So here you have to understand, if you have very high system, then you can directly create it without changing any values over here. But if you have very low end Windows system, then you can decrement the this device. Here I am just selecting 3.7 inch of phone H, and then whose processor is x86 for a very low end Windows system. So let it download and wait for some time. So this is going to be seen whenever you click on start after downloading it. Then it is telling us to enable the Hyper-V. So in order to do that, you can see this is the documentation that is presented. Then our next step is to enable our Hyper-V. So in order to do that, at first we are going to check whether our system can enable the Hyper-V or not at first. So here you can see, just we need to copy that system info inside the command line tool. Let's go to the command line tool and then paste it over here. So I'm just going to paste it, and if we navigate down, then we can see that our all the options are as, that means we can enable our Hyper-V. So then it is telling us to reboot the system as soon as we enable the Hyper-V. So we have additional steps to do before restarting our whole system. So let's go to our computer and then install or change a program. Then we have to go to program and features. So this program and features can also be called from our start menu too. You don't need to go from install as well as change programs. So here you can see we have a Hyper-V option. If I maximize it, then we have selected all the option over here. Now it is telling us to restart our system, but before doing that, I recommend you to copy my YouTube video link and then paste it somewhere else, so that whenever you come back and then start implementing the next steps, because they are going to be a very important one. So just create a notepad file and then paste my YouTube video link for later reference use, or bookmark it. Now let's restart our system. Alright, so let's start our Visual Studio 2019. Then let's wait for some time, and then we have to go to continue without code. Then inside Android device manager, right click on the Android phone that you have over here, then click on edit. Here you can just rename your device. Along with that, you can play around with the RAM size that you want to be added, because here I have very low end Windows system and I'm going to run a mobile phone, that is a emulator phone, on my very low end Windows device. So let's wait for some time till our whole emulator loads up. So this emulator is not going to be turned off till the end of this video. So don't turn the emulator off, because we are going to use this emulator on our Visual Studio IDE, that is a preview IDE, and then run the whole application on this emulator. So here you can see I'm just opening up Visual Studio Code, but it loads my previous project that was loaded. So I have already told you that how to open up the Hello Maui preview project from our Visual Studio by selecting file, open folder, or else you can use the code and then select that whole project. So now this line of code, that is .NET build and then -t -run and then -f .NET 6 Android, is going to run our project, that is our preview for .NET Maui project on our Android emulators. So your Android emulator should be turned on and you should be seeing this UI. And then you can see over here on the right side we have two errors, that is just a build error. You should ignore that as of now. And then if this whole process does not work, don't worry about anything. We are going to use our Visual Studio Preview IDE, that is 2019 IDE, in order to open up our .NET Maui project. So no need to worry, we have lots and lots of options to open up our Maui projects. So here I'm going to install the preview version of .NET Maui. So we are going to exclude this Visual Studio Code as of now, because we want a better IDE with the better services for our .NET Maui. So here you can see I'm just going to click on continue, like what we did previously for our Visual Studio IDE. So this Visual Studio 2019 preview IDE is going to be installed side by side. Here I'm just going to select the mobile development, but you have to select UWP development too. So you can see after installing our preview version, and this is the UI that is going to be seen, and then you can directly launch the preview from here, or else from your start menu, and then click on Visual Studio 2019 preview from here. Alright, so let's wait for some time till our UI loads. So I'm just going to click on Start Visual Studio 2019 preview, and clicking on creating a new project in our preview version of Visual Studio is going to give us Maui project. But you can use your Visual Studio IDE, that is 2019 IDE, later in order to implement this Maui project. As of now, this is just a preview, that's why we are using Visual Studio preview, but you can use the main IDE, that is Visual Studio 2019 IDE, excluding this preview edition, to install a fresh new .NET Maui project. So I'm just selecting the desktop and then creating a Maui preview app. Alright, so we are going to create a new Maui preview app from here, and it will take some time to load this whole project up. And then let's close this thing. We don't want anything over here. Then on the right side, you can see you might need to install extra component for a full development experience. So clicking on install is going to take some time, and then this UI is going to be displayed for me. And then again, I'm just going to click on install. Then it will take me to this UI and telling me that UWP platform development was not selected. So if you have selected your Xamarin Forms mobile application development on the Windows installer as well as the UWP installer, then this error won't be occurring. So I'm just going to close the Visual Studio after installing the UWP development. Then I'm again going to open up the whole project back again, and then this restart is mandatory as of now. And then you can see this whole project still has not loaded up with Android, iOS as well as Mac Catalyst dependencies. So if you are seeing the same thing, don't worry about that. We are going to solve all the problems. Now you can see we have our Android emulator framework as well as the device. So we know that we have Android emulators, correct? So if we select that Android emulator and try to run it, and then we'll just get this type of error, that some package dependencies errors are there. So we are going to resolve it, but make sure your Android emulators are opened up. So inside our this section, that is our package source section, we are going to create a new package source, that is Maui preview, and then paste the source from the .NET Maui blog that we have. So you can see over here we have this Maui blog here at getting started. So I'll just give that a link in my video's description. You can take it out from there and then paste it inside the source. Now clicking on OK is going to restore all the NuGet package, but as of now in my contents nothing got restored. Then we have to close our Visual Studio 2019 preview back again. So this restart as well as the opening of Visual Studio 2019 solves lots of problems, so you should be aware about that. No issues, right? So you can see right now I'm going to set my Windows preview app.winui3 as my starting project. So these two projects are going to be merged into the single project later, so you might not be seeing these two projects later in next version of Visual Studio. So you can see it is telling me to add Android SDK license and everything. As soon as I try to open up our Windows app project running. So if you are not seeing this, then you have to go to Android SDK manager inside the Android section, and inside tools it is trying to install Android SDK command line tool. So you can see over here at below, unzipping, installing Android SDK command line tool. So it is automatically doing it, but in your case if that is not being automatically added, then you can just select those things and then apply the changes. So these are the configuration that I have inside my Android SDK tools as of now. So let's wait for some time till our Windows app loads up with the fresh project. Yeah, we are getting our whole project working. So I'm just changing something up with the hot reload, and hot reload should also work on your end, because right now I'm in preview 4, that's why it's not working as of now. And in later version of the Visual Studio, then it should work. So we should select now the Android project and try to run our whole app on Android simulator that we have opened up. So you can see I'm just selecting .NET 6 and selecting my Android, and then running that thing up is should run our app on our Android emulator. If it does not load, then we are going to use the real Android phone and try running our .NET Maui app on real Android phones. So it told me that I can't install the app. That's because of some Android emulator issues. So I would recommend you to install high-end Android emulators too if you have very high-end Windows system. So now we are going to run our whole .NET Maui app on real Android phones. So how it's done? At first, you are going to connect your Android phone, that is your real Android phone, with the Windows device that you have with the USB cable. Then you have to enable the developer mode on for the real Android device that you have. So there are lots of YouTube videos, you can refer them, of any model that you have. So I have Nokia 5.1 Plus, which has developer mode on, and I can see my Android device over here. Now our next work is to see whether our Visual Studio Preview has out our real Android device. So you can see my Visual Studio Preview has found out my real Android device. So if that is not found in your case, then you can just close the Visual Studio Preview and rerun it. Now our next work is to install Visor before our whole application loads up. So let's download Visor for Windows 10. So this is mainly required in order to see our Android phone running our .NET Maui project. So as soon as I click on download, then it will download over here in this section, and then I can just open the file up, and then opening that file up is going to take some time. So we can just close these Android emulators because we are going to run our whole app on real Android device. So click on allow access is going to give all the access to the Visor to share our screen of our Android phone and mirror it on our Windows system. So let's wait for some time. Now you can see this UI, and then viewing it, then it will just show up my real Android device over here, and it will take some time till our whole application loads up on our real Android device. I recommend you to see my video's description, as I will be updating this video later for our preview 5, 6 and coming up, and we'll be installing our .NET Maui app on Mac OS too. So stay tuned. Thanks a lot for this tutorial now. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Keep in touch for next tutorials.